Concepts and Context of Business Strategy, Chapter number 5. The learning objectives are: number 1, understand the value of strategy and its role in a complex organization, understanding the planning process for defining and executing business strategy. Relate mission goals and objectives of organization to the process of developing strategy. Demonstrate an understanding of different strategy tools, growth share and business attractiveness matrices, and balanced scorecard. Number 5, recognize what it means to create a strategy that changes the rules for market or for an industry. Understand the importance of pursuing integrated network or supply chain strategies. What is strategy? Strategy is literally the art of general. Strategic thinking has been around in military matters for thousands of years. At its most basic, strategy is determination of goals or objectives and the general means for reaching them. For corporate executives, strategy means the choice of business for the corporations to pursue, and what will be emphasized in the running of each business to reach corporate goals and objectives. From the point of view of the person running the copier room in one of the company's division headquarters, corporate strategy is the context in which he works. If he even knows what the corporate strategy is at all. His strategy focuses on how to get documents done on time and with high quality. Within the framework of corporate level strategy, the marketer has to create and implement his own marketing strategy aligned with and in service to the company strategy. This strategy generally defines the marketer's decision. That is the parameter has to live within on day-to-day basis. Daily efforts by all members of the organization must be consistent with the missions, goals, objectives, and strategies of the firm. This exhibit shows how strategy in an organization is arranged hierarchically from top to the functional level. Strategy development and management is best considered as a dynamic, complex process. There is no one best process that is usable and effective in all situations. So an effective strategy that leads to higher performance, it requires several elements. Strategy involves setting goals or objectives to gain understanding of the environment in which the business unit operates, learn from experience and update experience. And lastly, the critical thinking is required for an effective strategy. Strategy making and strategy management process entails 9 steps. Number 1, setting goals and objectives. Number 2, analysis of the current situation. Number 3, SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threat. Number 4, strategy design and the choice of the best strategy. Number 5, implementation plan design. Number 6, strategy implementation. Number 7, monitoring of environment and performance results. Number 8, analysis of variance from desired performance level. And the last one is adjustments based on analysis of variance. Okay, I'm to discuss performing strategic management in B2B firm. Step number one, goals and objectives. Distinguish between goals and objectives. Distinction between general and specific. Goals are general, qualitative, and objectives are specific targets in specific time periods. Step 2 is environmental analysis. The current situation and future possibilities are explored. At any level, the environment includes the following elements: market, segmentation and customers, competition, channel of distribution, internal company environment, effects of the economy, effects of the technology change, and public policy. Step 3, strategy design. Strategy planners decide how to meet or exceed the objectives that have been set given the realities of the business environment. Corporate level strategy should include a vision of the business and its industry in the future, the choice of goals and objectives, the choice of which businesses to pursue, the determination of allocation of resources across businesses, determination of which strategic competencies to emphasize and build in future, allocation of resources to invest in building strategic competencies. Business unit strategy involves these same elements scaled down to business unit level and adapted to fit within the corporate level strategy. Step number 4 is implementation plan design. The planners must decide what actions need to be completed to accomplish this strategy. Managers decide who will do what, when, with whom, and at what cost. And step number 5 is strategy implementation. Actions needed to be taken and supervised is required in the implementation plan. If actions are not being taken or accomplished as scheduled, remedies need to be sought. Step number 6 is monitoring of environment and performance results. Part of the implementation activities should be designed for collecting and analyzing data. Step number 7 is analysis of performance. Any significant variance from desired performance level needs to be examined. And the step number 8 is adjustment. Based on the analysis of the performance, adjustments may need to be made to strategy implementation, environmental knowledge, and other planning elements, including the original goals and objectives. Okay, here are some key strategy concepts. Firms seek to establish a fit between business environment and the strategy. Fit providing superior value through differentiated pieces of the total offering. Fit between the business strategy and the business environment means that the organization pursues purposes that takes actions that are consistent with the needs, perceptions, and behaviors of the other actors within the environment. Smart firms can drive change rather than adapting to it. Quality and process improvement are essential to superior value measuring and tracking results necessary for continuous improvement. The company can use the idea of changing the rules both internally within a company and externally within the industry. Summary of key strategy concepts. Change in customers, channels, and competitors. Interact to create discontinuities in the evaluation of industries or markets. They are somewhat predictable with a high level of precision. While companies can have an influence on how markets change, they can seldom appreciably impact the pace of change. Companies need to look for ways to change the rules of markets they compete in. This means proactively creating conditions for business for success that favor their own business model instead of those of the competitors. Business model is a configuration of the elements of a business, how they work together, and how they produce profit. Tools for designing strategy. Number 1, growth share matrix. Number 2, multi-factor matrix or attractiveness strength matrix. And the last one is balanced scorecard. I will discuss the first one, the balance. Boston Consulting Group introduced growth share matrix. On one axis, it has the market growth rate from low to high, while on the other axis, it has relative market share from low to high. And it has 4 quadrants: stars, cash cows, question marks, and dogs. Star SBU has high growth, high share, and it needs heavy investment. It builds market share. Managed with market ownership, eventually it becomes cash cow. Cash cows SBUs have low growth with high market share. These are established successful SBUs and invest enough to hold market. These SBUs are cash generators. In question marks, the SBUs are with low share while the industry is having a high growth. These SBUs require cash to hold share. What should be done? These are the questions that a firm need to ask when an SBU is falling in question mark. So it must match with the organization's distinctive competencies, obtain the resources needed, build these into stars, or phase out sell. So these are the decisions a firm has to make about this SBU, which is falling in question mark. Dogs. An SBU with low growth, low market share may be self-sustaining. One organization's dog could be another's cash cow. So organization has to discontinue or divest this SBU. Growth share matrix and product life cycle. When we look into the product life cycle, you can see that in SBU, when it falls in question marks, probably that SBU is in the introduction phase. When we look in SBU, an SBU that is having growth, so that in the growth phase, that the star can be in the growth phase. What an SBU can be at the maturity level, that can be said as cash cows. When we look into the decline, so definitely the dogs SBU can be in the decline phase. Multi-factor portfolio matrix. Most companies do not use 2 into 2 growth share matrix to allocate resources across business units. Rather, they use a simpler but more sophisticated tool, the GE Market Attractiveness Business Strength Matrix. This tool does not directly consider synergies between businesses or products. Unlike the growth share matrix, though, future businesses' strength can be defined in such a way to give a higher score to a business or product that make better use of available resources. The balanced scorecard is a third tool to design a strategy. It focuses on forward-looking measures in four core areas: financial performance perspective, customer perspective, stakeholder perspectives with upper management, partners, channels, and the last one is value perspective. The balanced scorecard is as much a process itself as a tool for strategy content. It focuses on the goals of the organization and quantifies these into specific performance targets. Special issues in business strategy. Number one is strategy implementation of value networks and integrated supply chain with a consideration of agility, adaptability, and alignment of customer interests. Most efforts to integrated supply chains have tended toward a reduced number of suppliers, lean inventory structures, and supply chains serving the primary interest of the one large customer. Okay. In strategy development and the internet is a reality that has changed the world, and it is bringing the rapid changes in the industry. So with the help of internet, firms can manage customer relationships, firms can streamline purchasing relationships, increase the speed with which the environment changes. It can reduce transaction, shipping, and inventory costs. Internet is a tool that can improve value to both suppliers and customers. Strategic implications of market ownership. The portfolio of strategic companies, either internal, the results of diversification or integration, or external, the results of relations developed through a network of value providers, is key to pursuing market ownership. Companies can determine market ownership in this way. Strategy development in new businesses. Even though problems persist, executives in new companies should not forego the strategy planning process. New ventures that plan tend to do better than the new ventures that do not, even if their plans rapidly become works of fiction as the environment changes. So, strategic planning is must, business strategy is important, and new firms has to make business strategies, and they need to plan for the business strategies. That's all for today.